Are we ready?
You may now begin.
Good afternoon. Welcome to the September 1st, 2021 meeting of the Commission of Housing Opportunity Commission. And thank you for joining us today for this live stream meeting. We will follow the agenda for the meeting. Before we start, I would like to also introduce the other members of the commission who are present today. Fran Kelleher, who is our vice chair, Rick Nelson, who is our chair pro tem, Pamela Bird, commissioner, Linda Kroom, commissioner, Jackie Simon, commissioner, and Jeffrey Merkowitz, commissioner. All of the commission members are present for today's meeting, and we will proceed with the community forum portion of the meeting.
Okay, in just a moment, we will admit the first caller. AJ, just wait one moment. AJ, if you'll admit the first caller, the first participant in the community forum is Toby Emerson.
Good day, commissioners. My name is Toby Emerson, your neighbor of about 8 houses away, and I am addressing you today for one reason and one reason only. I am tired of flooding. Many months ago, I took an hour with Stacy Spann and we walked from my house to your newly built 9,000 square foot parking lot. I explained to him and his maintenance tech how your new lot stormwater was running directly into a line that goes into my backyard. I went as far as outlining the walkthrough, emailing it to him, and having him sign off that it was accurate. I also took the time to speak at a previous commissioners meeting, even emailing videos to ensure the concerns could be seen firsthand. I was told that it was the intention of the HOC to be neighborly and changes would be looked into and made. I have since come to find out that this parking lot was in fact illegally built. The drain column that your lot runoff goes directly into has overflowed 5 times in the last 2.5 weeks. When this happens, we get flooded. And I have video documentation of all these events if verification is needed. I was wondering if you could give feedback to the public on 2 concerns. 1, has changes been done to the lot to mitigate the runoff that was going to be looked into? If there is documentation to ease these concerns, that would be helpful to our neighbors. And 2, the planning board is awaiting the HOC's submission of a forest conservation exemption application for the lot. We were wondering if we could get a status update. Thank you, and thank you for your time. Oh, and if possible, could a synopsis of my speaking be included in today's meeting minutes? If you need any info or verification into the above, please feel free to reach out to me. I don't know if I was being heard because I'm hearing all sorts of dings and sparkle noises and stuff. So I'm hoping that you guys are able to hear me.
Yes, Mr. Emerson, I want to thank you for your appearance before the commission again to discuss this condition of flooding that you have raised before in the past. I am not totally conversant about the current status of the situation, or so I can be responsive to the 2 points that you have raised. I definitely am not aware of any planning board action that's been taken. I will refer this matter to our acting executive director, Kayleen Brown, ask her to provide the commission with a report in the next few days, and I will get back to you within the next week on the status of these things that you have asked us about.
Thank you very much. If you need more info, please feel free to reach out. Thanks.
Yeah, thank you very much. Our next speaker.
Thank you. And we have one other speaker, and that is Ryan Adamian. Do we have our next speaker? Thank you. And we have one other speaker, and that is Ryan Adamian.
Hello, can you hear me?
Hello, I can hear you. Could you please mute your device in the background so that we don't receive feedback
Yes.
from the live stream? Thank you.
Yes, thank you. I just did.
All righty.
Is my time starting now?
Your time can start now.
Okay. Thank you for the opportunity to speak today. Commissioners, my name is Ryan Adamian. I'm a citizen and a taxpayer of Maryland who supports your activities, and I'm here today to ask that you back out of your sale of Moses African Cemetery to the private business Charger Ventures. This is an unacceptable and disgusting hate crime that you, after years of not meeting the wishes of the descendants of people buried underneath your parking lot, that you are now deciding to sell their beloved family members and ancestors to a private business without any of their knowledge. Meetings discussing the sale were done in complete secrecy. Information about this sale that is more accurately described as human trafficking these details were not made known to the public or to any descendant of those buried there before it was announced on July 2nd. This points to a total lack of human decency in those who are in charge of making decisions for HOC. I'm asking the commissioners to back out of this sale. It is unacceptable. And what is also unacceptable is that the county funds HOC with millions of dollars, yet apparently had no knowledge of the sale, did not notify the descendants that they represent themselves, and now are refusing to speak out about it. So I am asking that the commissioners take action. I am asking that my county council and our county executive, Mark Elrich, speak out about this and support the descendants' lawsuit against HOC. HOC is an agency that is supposed to serve the people, but this is a hate crime against the descendants and public that it is supposed to help. This is, your actions are communicating that those people who are resting underneath your parking lot, that their lives don't matter, and that their descendants don't have a say in their ancestors' destinies, and that's just utterly and morally reprehensible. It's unspeakably horrible, and I'm asking you to back out of the sale.
Thank you very much for your commentary, and we will certainly take what you have said under advisement, and we've heard you and we've heard from others about this matter, so thank you. Are there any other speakers who have signed up for the community forum?
There are no other speakers today.
Fine. Can we put up on the screen, the shared screen, the agenda for the meeting today? Thank you very much. The next item of discussion is a report from the acting executive director.
Hey, good afternoon, commissioners, staff, and the general viewing public. For the record, I'm Kareen Brown, and I'm honored to represent the commission as acting executive director. Before I get into the report, this obviously is the first meeting since Stacey Spann has left HOC, and although he's left some big shoes to fill, I personally believe that HOC is a solid organization with strong leadership, a committed staff, and a clear mission. And as such, those will guide our path forward. There is an executive director report in your brief book, but for the record, I'd like to highlight a few things which underscores HOC's and its staff's work to getting people housed, keeping people housed, and helping them reach their full potential. And although the report is brief, there is so much more that's going on behind the scenes. And the staff is well supported by the commission, and we work hard to ensure that we're meeting our mission. First, I'd like to comment on HOC's commitment to its Section 3 compliance and its requirements of HOC works. And for the Westside Shady Grove transaction, this is evident in that the real estate team and the resident services team via HOC Academy worked hard to ensure that Bozzuto Construction and KTGY Architecture allocated 2 spots each for residents in HOC's housing, and as such, they were able to provide 4 internships for the summer. And I'm happy to report that Bozzuto has hired 2 of the interns as permanent employees. So that's really a big outcome for us as we continue to press our partners to not just pay into a fund, but to also ensure that our residents in our housing are actually getting real life experience to help them realize their full potential. We've talked to you about this before, but the HOC was offered 118 emergency vouchers in July, and they're targeted for the homeless, recently homeless, those who are at risk of homelessness, those who are fleeing domestic violence, sexual assault, and stalking for human trafficking. The referrals will come to HOC from HHS, Montgomery County Department of Health and Human Services. And as of this date, we've not received any referrals, but we're expecting about 50 in the month of September, and we're working hard to ensure that these vouchers are utilized and that the folks to which they're targeted or for which they're targeted actually benefit from them. As well, in the Housing Choice Voucher Program, staff has selected 200 applicants from the Housing Path waiting list in the month of July. And we're currently processing, or currently 223 families have been issued vouchers and are searching. And this is all part of us increasing our utilization to 95%, and we're about 262 units away from that goal. However, we're continuing to process applicants and ensure that we're optimizing vouchers that HOC has allocated. The Resident Service Division has been quite busy in the last couple of months, and on August 19th, a back to school fest was held at East Deer Park, in which families were able to drive through and collect book bags filled with goodies for school. And I'm happy to report that about 280 backpacks were distributed, 1,150 masks, and 380 bottles of sanitizers. About 17 households who registered for the event were unable to participate because of lack of transportation. And so staff has made arrangements to deliver to those households. And additionally, Tanglewood, which is a down county location from East Deer Park, many of the households were unable to participate because of transportation issues. And so staff will deliver to about 72 households. And in that location, 160 remaining backpacks are to be delivered, and staff will continue to deliver based on need. For HOC Academy, about 70 youths participated in summer camps this past summer, including the camps included computer assisted design, K&M STEAM camp, at-home explorers, and media production. And I did say resident services has been busy, and they really have been. Our Fatherhood Initiative was awarded a second 5-year grant, and we've begun to enroll fathers to participate in that program. And just As a reminder, the Fatherhood Initiative provides parenting, education, case management services, financial assistance for educational classes and training, as well as other participation incentives. In July, we had 32 fathers enrolled, and in August, we're in the process of enrolling another 22 into the program. Also, under resident services and in our efforts to help folks reach their fullest potential, financial literacy continues. And in the last month or so, there has been coaching ongoing for one-on-one for 8 customers. And the resident services group continues to serve approximately 230 participants in its supportive housing. So as I said, they've been quite busy, and we'll continue to target and work with our residents who need the support, so that we're not merely focused on the 4 walls, but also on efforts to help them be better citizens and hopefully move on to self-sufficiency. On the homeownership front, the county has awarded HOC another Montgomery County Housing Assistance Fund grant, this time increased from $1 million to $1.5 million. HOC has received 3 prior $1 million grants. And these funds are to be provided to homeowners or would-be homeowners to assist with closing costs and down payment for a maximum of $25,000. We're anticipating that this grant will serve about 60 homeowners. And that is assuming the maximum amount is loaned to each household. Obviously, if it's a lower number, we'll be able to serve more. And just by way of background, so far the three prior grants served 134 households, and the average loan was about $22,400. In other news, and the commissioners are very much aware of this, HOC and its partners celebrated the Montgomery County's first community solar array at Paddington Square. The event was very well attended and highlights HOC's commitment to ensuring that its customers, its residents, or in general, low and moderate income families participate in climate matters and at no additional cost to them. So by HOC donating the space or leasing the space above Paddington Square for $1 enabled us to increase the number of low and moderate income households we are able to serve. So the program will have approximately 91 subscriptions. 28 will be set aside for low and moderate income households, and I'm happy to report that 10 of them are exclusively set aside for households at Paddington Square, which is a great outcome for this program. Switching from the resident service or resident focused initiatives, HOC closed on the issuance of $50 million in taxable bonds, that the proceeds of which will fund the Housing Production Fund, which is collaboration between HOC and the county. We hit the market perfectly, and as a result, although the county has appropriated $3.4 million, where the annual cost of the county will actually be about a little over $3 million. And just as a quick reminder, we're anticipating that over the life of this first Housing Production Fund issuance, HOC will expand the housing in the county to, we're estimating over 3,000 units because the fund is revolving. And so as loans are made and repaid, we're able to put those money back to work in new projects. So this is really a wonderful initiative, and it's taken us a little while to get here, but we are here and we anticipate really good outcomes. And then finally, it may not land as great news for some, but it is definitely an achievement for HOC and its partners. The Lindley in Chevy Chase has achieved full stabilization. We're now at 93% leased, and which is consistent with our underwriting, and 97% occupied. So a lot has been going on in the last couple of months, and a lot more to come as we move through and work toward our mission and goals of serving our customers. So that is it for now. As I said, the details are in your brief book, and there's obviously much more that can be said about these initiatives, but I thought for the record, it's a good thing to highlight them for the commission and the viewing public.
Thank you very much, Kayleen, for that report. As you note, I see the picture on the screen that the commissioners were out and present at the Paddington Square Solar Initiative. And I can say not only was it hot and that the panels were working on the roof, but also they were working on the people who were attending, because it really was hot out there. We enjoyed the initiative, and thank you for the work on that one. Also, it was very encouraging to hear that we got an increased grant from the county for the home ownership program, and also the taxable bond issuances and sale for the housing production fund. So those are all really good news, and certainly advances our affordable housing and mission for the agency. So thank you for your report. And the commissioners have any questions to Ms. Brown?
I have a couple of questions. One, Karen, great report, very thorough, appreciate it. Love seeing the addition of photos also. It's a fun touch. Couple questions. One is there any update on HOC's ability to access the emergency rental assistance funds from the county?
We are, as staff, we're discussing and are engaging with our partners at the county to speed up the delivery of rental assistance. The Treasury has loosened some of the restrictions, and so the path is really clear for funds to begin to reach customers. It's unfortunately not flowing as quickly as we would have liked, and so we're hoping that over the next week or so we'll see increase in activity. At this time, we've received about 20% of the funds that we've requested, so it's lagging quite a bit as in Montgomery County as in many parts of the country. But staff is focused on ensuring that more funds flow to our customers.
One good news in that point was that the Treasury Department did issue some guidelines.
Yes.
The administration of that program to hopefully will streamline the administration and get those funds out the door faster.
Yeah, no, that would be, knock on wood that'll happen. So,
right.
And my other question, we had seen previously of some of the efforts that HOC was taking, to assist with vaccinations and other, COVID sort of response actions. Have we continued with providing or assisting with vaccinations? Do we have any more plans, particularly with the Delta surge, or any indications of how our customers are faring?
So, and if staff is on the call and would like to jump in, please feel free. So we're continuing to conduct testing. We are monitoring the incidence of the virus in wastewater and making adjustments to our testing when we believe any of our properties are potentially at risk. There have been a continued vaccination. Shanita, are you on, or stay well to talk about efforts? In any case, the initiatives have not stopped. We continue to conduct vaccination clinics, and I can provide you with a little bit more detail after the meeting as to upcoming events. But we're still very focused on testing, and where we see the potential for spikes. We're focused, particularly where our properties are located in certain zip codes where that's occurring, and always encouraging vaccination. And as I said, I'll provide you with more details on upcoming clinics.
Hey, Ring, I have a question. Hi, by the way. I just wanted to know, I know that they haven't been doing the inspections on property because of the COVID. And I was wondering, they were doing it virtual. And I was wondering, are they now going back in the homes doing the inspections?
So the waivers that were granted by HUD allows for virtual inspections. We are required to complete in-person inspections by some date in 2022, approximately June, and the end of June. However, with the Delta variant and concerns for health and safety, it's raised a question to me and to our staff as to the timing of the virtual inspection, the in-person inspections. I do have an upcoming meeting with the HUD DC field office on Friday, and that is one of the issues I'll raise with them to get a sense of what their thinking is currently around resuming in-person inspections. Because while we thought the trend was moving in the right direction for things to return to normalcy, that isn't the case currently, and households are still concerned about in-person inspections, as are we. And so as I learn more, I will provide that. But right now, as of now, there were some waivers granted by HUD for inspections, and we're required to conduct in-person inspections by a date certain next year, but that I'm assuming that is all subject to change given the state of affairs with the pandemic at the moment.
Thank you, Corinne.
Hey, Karine, I'd just like to comment and thank the staff for the attention given to the requirements in our contracts for HOC works. And more importantly, the fact that we are producing some results. I mean, just the internships and the employment, that's the goal. So I'm really very happy to see that we are getting some action out of those that contract with us.
Yep, and we'll continue to push for more.
Good.
I would like to comment on a couple things. I'm dismayed at having not received any referrals for these emergency vouchers yet. With the appeals for contributions to assist families that are homeless and so forth, there's clearly not a smooth transition between need and response. And I'm hoping we can get some better coordination when we have units and vouchers available. Agencies are pleading with us to provide housing, and we reach a point we can issue vouchers and then not to have referrals for them, I think is disappointing. But I am grateful that we've gotten them, and I look forward to our getting them fully leased up.
Sure.
I also, we didn't comment on the topping out of Elizabeth Square and our joint project with Holy Cross Hospital and the county government's recreation department. That is a monumental achievement and something that the commission's been working on in several years and is going to provide significant additional housing in downtown Silver Spring, 2 blocks from the metro. So I think that was another celebration that we had, and I am grateful for the staff and the way they have been able to work with the county and Holy Cross to put together a use of a site that brings the community into and utilizing resources that we're able to make available, and by the same token that our residents' opportunities for full participation in the community are significantly enhanced. And the kind of programming that the county is providing and planning for that recreational center is just outstanding and very exciting, and I think a national role model. And I hope that we are able to continue to move forward with these kinds of projects where we're leveraging the strengths of community partners to better serve our residents and to provide them with more opportunities. So it's been a very busy time for our development staff, and I am in awe of what is coming to fruition, and I'm exceedingly grateful for the efforts that go on in that. And I love to see the expanded executive director's report. And like fellow colleague Jeffrey, I think putting photos in, maybe even some point we can get some videos into some of these events so that people have a sense of the agency and the breadth of what is involved and the services provided by the agency.
Thank you all, commissioners. Again, thank you very much for your report. And we will, with no further questions, I will move the agenda to the Commissioners Exchange, and I will turn to our Vice Chair.
Thank you, Chair Priest. I would like to make a comment on some administrative work that's being done related to hiring a new executive director. During Mr. Spahn's tenure as executive director, the agency grew in size and sophistication to the point where the commission decided that while the best person to serve as our next executive director may already be serving within HOC, we believe that due diligence requires us to conduct a national search for the position. The commissioners have been engaged in the administrative tasks of updating the executive director's position description and developing the plan for a search to fill the position. Today, the commission released RFP number 2280 to engage an executive recruiting firm to assist us in filling the executive director position. The RFP is publicly posted on HOC's website under the Do Business with HOC tab. Responses will be due on Friday, September 24th of this coming month, 2021. It is worth noting that the hiring of an executive recruiter will be funded entirely with non-governmental derived discretionary funds. And even once the executive recruiter is selected, we expect this search process to take a couple of more months. Other than announcing which executive recruiting firm is selected as a result of the RFP, we might not comment on this administrative process again until the search is successfully completed. However, I can assure the staff of HOC and the public that we continue to work diligently together on this important responsibility. And since we hadn't before laid out how we were approaching this, I thought it was worth allowing everyone to know what's been going on and where we are, and the fact that today is a major step by publishing our RFP for an executive recruiting firm.
Thank you very much for that report. And also, I just want to acknowledge all of the commissioners' participation in getting us to the point where we've been able to issue this RFP. It's taken a great deal of time and work, and over and beyond the time when I know you were indicated would be your requirements to participate on our commission. This is an important endeavor, and I want to thank all the commissioners for the time they've been able to dedicate and to advance us to a point where we'll be able to ultimately select the next executive director for the Housing Opportunity Commission. So thank you all very much. Are there any other commissioners who have anything for this exchange portion of the agenda? If there are none, then I will advance the agenda to approval of the minutes. These are approval of minutes for July 7th, 2021, approval of minutes for July 28th, 2020 on special session, and the approval of minutes of July 28th closed special session. Can I get a motion to approve those minutes?
Commissioner Byrd, I move approval.
I second.
Been properly moved and seconded that we approve the minutes as noted. Are there any questions? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposition, nay? The motion is approved unanimously. We will now go into the committee reports and recommendations for action section of our agenda. We will start out with our Budget, Finance, and Audit Committee that is chaired by Rick Nelson.
The first item on the agenda for the BF&A committee is a action to submit the capital improvements program budget to the county for FY 23-28. And I would guess that Cornelia is going to start off and possibly pass it off to another staff person.
Thank you, Commissioner Nelson, and good afternoon, commissioners and staff. For the record, I am Cornelia Kent, CFO at HOC. The first item is the authorization to submit the county FY 23-28 capital improvements program budget, and Tomi Adebo is going to walk us through this packet.
Thank you, Cornelia, and good afternoon, commissioners. This year, we will prepare the biannual CIP budget presentation to the county executive and county council. The submission is due to OMB by September 8th of 2021. Our submission includes the existing projects, such as the 2 revolving loan funds, which includes MPDU, Property Acquisition Fund, and the Opportunity Housing Development Funds. We have the authority to issue up to $50 million in general obligation bonds. It is prudent to remind the county of the importance of maintaining our current allocations for the following projects: the supplemental funds for deeply subsidized HOC and affiliate-owned units, and the demolition funds. With the supplemental fund for deeply subsidized HOC and affiliate-owned unit improvement, staff is working on a plan to perform additional full unit renovations utilizing available fundings. Staff anticipates utilizing all available scattered site funding by the end of fiscal 22. The demolition fund was utilized for the demolition of the Ambassador in April 2020, and the demolition of the mattress store was completed in September 2020. The demolition for Emery Grove Village is expected to start October 2021 and should take approximately 60 days to complete. This year, we are requesting a new project, the Washington Suburban Sanitary Commission Sewer and Storm Line Improvement at Elizabeth Square. There are 2 parts to the improvement. The first part increases WSSC sewer line capacity to 15 inches, and the second to install new temporary 15-inch storm line. We are asking the county to continue our current projects in the amount of $83,782,000. That is $1,250,000 annually for FY 27 and FY 28. And add the new funding for the WSSC sewer and storm line improvement at Elizabeth Square. With that, I'd be happy to answer any questions you may have at this time.
This is Commissioner Byrd. I just wanted a clarification on page 40 of 464. It says if the CIP project is approved, HOC will temporarily fund the CIP project. Should that say not approved, or am I misreading that?
Well, you're not misreading that. The CIP is beginning fiscal 23.
Mm-hmm.
So that will not start until July. So we will be actually reimbursed the funds.
Okay. And do we have an estimate of how long the recovery of the funds will take, the reimbursement?
I do not have the specifics.
Not at this point, no. Yeah,
okay.
Not at this point.
But if it's approved for the July 1, 2022 date, Funding should occur shortly thereafter, assuming that the work is complete and we're able to present invoices for the reimbursement.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? If not, can we get a
If there are
motion?
no other questions, then I would move approval of resolution 21-77, authorization to submit county FY 23-28 capital improvement program budget.
Commissioner Byrd, I second.
It has been properly moved and seconded to approve resolution 21-77. Are there any questions? All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposition, nay. The resolution is approved unanimously. The next item.
Next item is a request to extend maturity dates for the draws on the PNC Bank line of credit, which financed the acquisition of what is the Lindsay Ford site and the Littonsville site on Brookville Road. And again, I'll turn to Cornelia and her staff.
Thank you again, Commissioner Nelson. So we are asking approval to extend the maturity dates for the two draws on the PNC Bank line of credit. Eugenia Pascal, our controller, will walk us through this packet.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. The Commission has previously approved the funding of the acquisition of the Lindsay Ford and Littonsville site via taxable draws from the PNC line of credit up to $11.6 million for Lindsay Ford and $10.9 million for Littonsville. A total of $11.5 million has been drawn for Lindsay Ford or Eaton Gateway and $10.9 million for Littonsville or Brookville. The combined estimated interest cost for both is approximately $224,000 per year. This is based on the contract rate with PNC Bank, which will be paid from the revenue generated from the lease agreements. The staff is recommending the extension of the use of the PNC line of credit up to June 30, 2022 for the two transactions. The line of credit will mature on September 30, 2021. The Commission is in negotiation with PNC Bank for the renewal and extension of the lines of credit, which will go beyond the requested maturity date. PNC Bank was awarded the RFP for banking services as well as the line of credit facilities. Thank you, Commissioners. We'll be happy if you have any questions.
Are there any questions? If there are no questions, I would move approval of resolution 21-78, which is the approval to extend the maturity dates.
I second it.
It has been properly moved and seconded to approve resolution 21-78. Are there any questions? All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposers, nay. The resolution is approved unanimously.
The next item is a request to renew Spring Garden 1, I'm sorry, let me get it straight. Spring Garden 1 Association Limited Partnership Property Management Contract. And again, that will be an item that will be presented by Jay Berkowitz, I believe.
Yes. Good afternoon, Commissioners. For the record, Jay Berkowitz, Asset Manager for Property Management. Staff is requesting a one-year renewal of the property management contract with Edgewood for property management services at Spring Garden 1 Associates Limited Partnership through November 30th, 2022. Spring Garden, excuse me, is an 82-unit garden-style community of 25 market rate and 57 affordable low-income housing tax credit units at 55% of median income. Spring Gardens is located in downtown Silver Spring, within walking distance of the Silver Spring Metro. The property is managed well by Edgewood and has received a score of 98A for its most recent REACT inspection, indicating sound physical condition. The property has maintained an average occupancy of 98.5% over the last 2 years and has returned a debt service coverage ratio of 1.25 for the trailing 12-month period through May 2021, indicating sound fiscal performance for light tech development. As well, there are no compliance issues at the property. Edgewood scored a 3.05 or 4 available points in a resident survey completed in March of 2020, which was the 4th highest score in the 6 management company survey. The survey had low participation and the properties had few complaints. Another resident survey will go out in September 2021. The renewal of the property management contract for Spring Garden for 1 year will not have a budget impact as the costs associated with the services will be factored into the calendar year 2022 property budget. Additionally, the renewal will be performance-based, so the management fee would be lower if revenue declined below budgeted expectations. In addition to occupancy, performance criteria will include REACT scoring. Staff requests that the commission approve the property management contract renewal with Edgewood for Spring Gardens through November 2022. Are there any questions?
Yeah, Jay, this is Commissioner Crum. I saw that y'all took some type of a survey, but the survey is not going to be until September after we already vote for this approval of this property. I'm just wondering, is it possible that we could see what the people put down? Some type of card, any complaints we need to know before we bid on properties that we don't know what the people are saying. I want to know what they are saying.
Commissioner Crum, we didn't send out a survey yet. So the survey results that he gave were from the last one we did pre-COVID.
Oh, it was before COVID?
Right.
Yeah, so the dates that he have in there, we're not going to send it out in September because we haven't discussed it in detail, but the last results that he gave were from the previous survey that we actually presented to the ARC committee.
Linda, I should say on that point though, we have had some conversations, and I'm hopeful that this year's survey, more effort will be extended to try to increase the participation of residents in that survey, and appropriate follow-up and discussion with commission in terms of the results of the survey, and follow up with the third-party managers. If I recall correctly, this was a restart of surveys we used to do years ago. And there are some areas for improvement, and I think that we've had some discussions, and it should be an improved effort this year.
So I would just add that the conversations have just started about surveys, and there's much work to be done by staff to determine, what the surveys are about, who are surveyed, and it'll be much more to there'll be much more to come on this topic before anything goes out. So the September date was initially indicated as the date, but we are quite sure it won't be ready to go out in September because a lot of legwork still needs to be done, and we'll be working through those over the next several weeks, months perhaps.
Thank you.
Has the agency used any survey development assistance from any of the local universities that frequently co-op with government agencies for doing surveys? There is a talent to preparing the survey that elicits the information that we really are anxious to receive. And I know at one time the agency did cooperate. I believe it was with the University of Maryland, and they assisted. That was a long time ago, but I know that that kind of work is done by the universities, and we might well benefit from having that input.
Sure. So our goal is to get high participation and good results for the commission. And so we're not thinking that staff will create a survey. We're going to look at best practices. We're going to look at firms and perhaps even the University of Maryland as an entity to collaborate with. But we're looking at the whole approach to surveying and just ensure, as I said, maximum participation and good results. But we've not definitively determined how and what and who yet. We're working through those issues, thinking through them at least.
I would like to request the staff that in the future, until we've gotten the next survey results, the survey done and results done, that you eliminate the reference to this community survey. You're asking for a renewal of property management contracts.
Good point. Are there any other questions? If not, I would move approval of resolution 21-79, which is to renew the property management contract for Spring Garden 1.
I second Linda Crum.
It's been properly moved and second to approve resolution 21-79. Are there any questions? Seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposers, nay. The resolution is approved unanimously.
The next item is a request to renew the property management contract for the 3 Willow Manor properties. And I believe we're going to have a presentation by Jay Berkowitz again.
Yes, for the record, Jay Berkowitz, Asset Manager for Property Management Division. Staff is requesting a 1-year renewal of the property management contract with Habitat America, the current management company, for the Manor at Cloppers Mill, Manor at Colesville, and the Manor at Phil Hill Farm through October 31st, 2022. The Manor at Cloppers Mill, the Manor at Colesville, and the Manor at Phil Hill Farm were purchased by HOC in November 2018. The properties were built in 2004, 2005, and have not been renovated since construction. All 3 properties are mid-rise communities and are age restricted for seniors 62 years and older. Properties were approved for low-income housing tax credit syndication as of November 1st, 2021, with renovation starting shortly thereafter and continuing through May 2023. The Commission has already approved the selection of a general contractor along with the holding of 20 units vacant across all 3 properties. The properties are of similar construction and design. The properties have been well maintained or in good condition. The properties have maintained an average occupancy of 95% over the last 2 years and a debt service coverage ratio of 1.50 with a trailing 12-month period through June 2021, reflecting sound fiscal and occupancy standards. There is currently no federal involvement, so therefore the properties are not subject to REACT inspections. Habitat scored a 3.39 of 4 available points in a recent resident survey completed in March 2020, which was the 3rd highest score of the 6 management companies surveyed. The survey had low participation. The properties had few complaints. Another resident survey will be going out in the future. Habitat is a woman-owned and operated third-party management firm with over 30 years of experience. Due to the staff's familiarity with the current population and the upcoming syndication renovation, it would be in the best interest of the residents that Habitat remain as a property management company. The renewal of the property management contract for the Willow Manor properties for 1 year will not adversely impact the Commission's fiscal year 22 operating budget, as the costs associated with the services will be factored into the calendar year 2022 property budget. Staff recommends that the Commission approve the property management contract renewal with Habitat America for the Willow Manor properties through October 2022. Are there any questions?
Let me just repeat the comment that the chair made in terms of referring to prior surveys. And you don't refer to a survey as being recent if it was 15 months prior to your writing this memo. So we need to be a little bit more accurate in the description of these kinds of things. Are there any questions? If not, I move approval of resolution 21-80 to renew the property management contract for Manor at Cloppers Mill, Manor at Colesville, and the Manor at Fair Hill Farm.
Commissioner Byrd, I second.
Probably moved and seconded to approve resolution 21-80. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposers, nay. Resolution approved unanimously. We are now going to move to the Development and Finance Committee. It is chaired by Jackie Simon.
The first item that we'll be considering is the renewal of a contract for the underwriting team consisting of a senior manager, co-manager, and co-managers in accordance with current contracts and procurement policy. Who is going to take us through this?
Hi, Commissioner Simon. I will.
Thank you, Jennifer.
No problem. Good afternoon, Commissioners. My name is Jennifer Arrington, Acting Director of Mortgage Finance. And before you is a request to approve the final renewal of the bond underwriting team contract, which consists of a senior manager, a co-senior manager, and four co-managers. You can move to page 65. On September 9th, 2020, the Commission approved the first one-year renewal for the team of 6 underwriters, which expires January 2022. This renewal request will extend the contract through January 2023. The current list of underwriters is shown. On page 66, during the current contract period through June 2021, HOC has issued approximately $338 million of multifamily and single-family bonds, and there are no issues with the performance of the team. And in FY22, as shown on page 67, we estimate that we will issue approximately $320 million worth of bonds, of which the Housing Production Fund has already been issued. Based upon the team's performance and our current pipeline, and with the Development and Finance Committee's support, staff recommends approval of the final one-year renewal of the team's contract. And if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Are there any questions? Hearing none, then I recommend approval of Resolution 2181, renewing the contracts of the current underwriting team.
Second.
Been probably moved and seconded to approve Resolution 21-81. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. The resolution is approved unanimously.
Thank you.
Our next item, we turn to West Side Shady Grove Building D and the approval to select Kim Engineering for construction materials testing and third-party inspector and authorization for the acting executive director to execute a contract in accordance with the RFP 2265.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. For the record, Marcus Irvin, Acting Director of Development here at HOC. And for this matter, Paul Vinciguerra from our construction team will be presenting this packet. Paul?
Hello, Commissioners. I'm Paul Vinciguerra, Construction Manager. Excuse me. Westside Shady Grove Building D is a 268-unit apartment building with 81 affordable units, 21,000 square feet of retail space, 7,400 square feet of office space. The testing of construction materials and the third-party inspection during the project is integral to the quality assurance and quality control for new construction projects. Testing building materials such as concrete is required by Montgomery County Department of Permanent Services and is Montgomery County Code. On May 19th, 2021, we issued request for proposal 2265 for construction material testing and third-party inspections. We received 3 responses ranging from $136,500 to $336,385. And of the 3 responses, Kim Engineering attained the highest average score among the evaluators as it pertains to price, management plan, execution, and MFD participation. Kim Engineering is teaming with CFA. CFA is a certified owned minority business firm. They will provide 35% of the services for this project. The award of RFP, request for proposal 2265, will be funded from the previously approved development budget. Staff is requesting that the commission approve Chem Engineering as the construction material testing and third-party inspection firm for West Side Shady Grove Building D project, and to approve the acting executive director to enter into a contract with Chem Engineering for $336,385. Any questions?
Are there questions? Hearing none, then I, on behalf of the committee, recommend approval, move approval of Resolution 2182.
I second. Fran Kelleher.
It has been probably moved and seconded to approve resolution 21-82. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. The resolution is approved unanimously.
Thank you, Commissioners.
The next item moving forward is the Willow Manors property and its approval of a final development plan, including the approval and acceptance of a seller note and bridge financing for the transaction, and approval to execute a contract and early start agreement with Nastos Construction.
Good afternoon once again. For the record, Marcus Irvin, Acting Director of Development, and for this matter, Catherine Hollister from the Red Team will be presenting this package. Catherine.
Thanks, Marcus. Good afternoon, Commissioners. For the record, my name is Catherine Hollister. I'm a Senior Financial Analyst in the Real Estate Division. On page 86 is the executive summary of the transaction. HOC acquired the Willow Manor properties in 2018. All three properties are age restricted and were originally built and financed through the Low-Income Housing Tax Credit Program approximately 16 years ago. The properties have reached the end of their initial 15-year LIHTC compliance periods, and staff is preparing for the upcoming resyndication and renovation of the properties. The properties will be resyndicated as a single scattered site transaction, which is projected to close in October 2021 with renovation to start in November 2021. Pages 87 and 88 provide additional background on the properties as well as the location map. Page 89 presents the transaction rationale. Namely, the transaction will provide high quality, well-designed, energy efficient, and financially sustainable affordable housing to seniors. Page 90 showcases the primary members of the development team. We have an experienced and diverse team, including 2 minority-owned businesses, as well as a women-owned business. Page 91 shows the existing conditions at the property and the proposed renovation scope. Pages 92 through 94 show the interior design and finish selections for the properties. And pages 95 and 96 provide a summary of the hard construction costs as well as a renovation timeline. Page 97 summarizes the relocation plan for the renovation, which builds off the Bower Park Tenant Relocation and Community Communications Plan. Learning from recent renovations, staff has created a website specifically for Willow Manor residents and their families to access information about the renovations. Staff has hosted and will continue to host virtual resident meetings, and property management has provided printed materials to residents as well. Regarding relocation, staff has determined that the best renovation strategy is to fully vacate units undergoing renovation by temporarily relocating the residents to other on and offsite units. To accommodate renovation phasing, staff is requesting to hold up to an additional 9 units vacant above the 20 already approved for a total of 29 units, or a 10% vacancy. Staff has conducted a cost-benefit analysis of this approach and has determined that increasing on-site vacancy is the most cost-effective option. On page 98 discusses the GC contract and early start agreement. Staff has negotiated the major points of the GC contract and is requesting approval to execute a guaranteed maximum price contract with Nastos Construction, Inc. in an amount not to exceed $16.5 million. Staff is also requesting approval to execute an early start agreement with Nastos in an amount not to exceed $1.6 million to mobilize for a November 2021 construction start. Staff recommends obligating funds from the Opportunity Housing Development Fund to pay for the early start work in the event the transaction is delayed or does not close. Page 99 provides the sources and uses for the transaction. Sources include an FHA risk share mortgage, LIHTC equity, a subordinate county HIF loan, and seller note. Uses include construction costs and associated fees, acquisition costs, relocation costs, developer fees, financing and syndication costs, and guarantees and reserves. The sources for the transaction are projected to cover all project costs. However, due to the timing of LIHTC equity installments, a $21.2 million bridge loan will be needed. Staff is requesting utilizing the PNC real estate line of credit as a source for this bridge. Page 100 shows the stabilized operating pro forma for the transaction. The properties will continue to comply with the county's voluntary rent guidelines, meaning that rents for existing residents will only increase by the VRG. Rents for vacant units will be the same as maximum LIHTC rents, less utility allowance, except for the 80% units, which staff proposes pricing at a discount equivalent to 70% AMI rents, less utility allowance. Page 101 provides the ownership structure for the transaction. Similar to other HOC LIHTC transactions in which PNC is the investor, for example, Green Hills Apartments, the structure provides disaffiliation to the tax credit investor and limited partner. Pages 102 and 103 provide the summary and recommendations for this item. There are 13 approvals staff is requesting at this time. I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
I'd like to comment and acknowledge the work the staff has done to increase attention to and obtaining minority participation in our contracts, as evidenced by the last two presentations that we've had.
I think that is really commendable and notable. And I think the other thing that I find especially exciting as we look at this renovation is the new emphasis on resident safety, flooring materials, curbless showers, and improvements that will make these units useful for a much longer lifespan of the individual residents. Are there questions any of fellow commissioners have?
Yeah, Jackie, I have one. I just wanted to know if they have any of these 29 that they said places, do they have any of them for the handicap?
Of the vacant, I would need to check to see. I know we have 24 vacants now, and I'm not sure if any of those are handicap accessible, but that's absolutely a consideration that we take into account when we're doing our relocation plan, to make sure that we're providing housing that's suitable for our residents' need. Even though it's on a temporary basis, we do our best to make sure that they're accommodated.
In addition, these were built long after the Fair Housing Act amendments on adaptability were passed, and they are elevator buildings, and I can't believe that they weren't built to the requirements of the Fair Housing Act. Whether any are designated UFAS units, I'm not sure, but I think we're moving each development we're looking at through the lens of how we can provide an extended useful life, a safer environment, a more convenient environment, and a healthier environment. In addition to the energy emphasis and so forth. So I think these issues have risen to the top of the staff's attention level, and I see we're moving forward on all of those, and I thank staff for that. Are there any other questions or comments? Hearing none, the Development and Finance Committee recommends approval, and I would so move for resolution 2183A, which is development plan.
Second the motion.
It's been properly moved and seconded to approve resolution 21-83A. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposers, nay. It's approved unanimously.
And the next resolution is Resolution 2183B, which was approval to draw up to 22 million on the PNC Bank's NA real estate line of credit to provide bridge financing for the renovation of the properties and early start. With the committee's recommendation, I would move approval.
I second.
What's the balance in the LOC? Or the relock? How much do we have left unobligated?
Catherine, do you have the answer to that?
Yeah, let me pull that up.
Is it about 26 million unobligated at this time, Catherine?
I think it's 22.9.
Okay.
And we're gonna use this for 4 years, right? Or, well. I mean, obviously the question is, therefore, we don't need those funds, or we know we're gonna get some payback that we'll be able to use some later. I'm not, normally we get some indication in terms of what has been obligated, what's due to be paid back, and what kind of flexibility we'll have after we do this.
So we can provide a more comprehensive report, but staff has evaluated the timing for some of the obligations that are on the facility at the moment. And we know that there is sufficient capacity for this, but we can provide the commission with a little bit more in-depth update on the full status.
I would like to think that's true, but as we've seen in other presentations, that evaluation is not necessarily proven out. And therefore, I think it's useful for the commission to see some of those numbers rather than to just accept a statement that it's available.
Okay. All right. Do that.
Moving to table this, Rick?
No, I'm all right with it. I'm just pointing out that we're using up all of the money in the line of credit, which means now if we have something else coming up, we have to go to the other fund. I don't know how much money we have available. I don't know what's going to get paid back. If we have it, we have it. And I mean, we need that money to do this project, which we've approved. But we need to understand whether that is in fact restricting us in the future in terms of availability of some of these funds. And just be nice to see some figures.
So noted, and we will provide an update.
Okay.
There was a motion on the table.
I second. Fran Kelleher.
Probably moved and seconded to approve resolution 21-83B. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposers, nay. Resolution approved unanimously.
Okay. And now we turn our attention to the approval of the Willow Manor's financing plan, feasibility, and public purpose for those properties, and the authorization to issue loans to HOC at Willow Manor for acquisition and construction financing, and authorization to issue a commitment for permanent financing, and for the borrower to accept loans in accordance with the finance plan.
Yes. Good afternoon, commissioners. For the record, my name is Jennifer Arrington, Acting Director of Mortgage Finance, and Victoria Dixon will be presenting this packet to you. Victoria? Victoria, you're on mute. Victoria, you're on mute.
Before Victoria comes on, can I just, I'm looking on my iPad at the drive, the packet, and evidently it's an old copy. Because the Willow Manor, and this particular item is not included in that. Can we ensure that we are up to date in terms of what we have on the drive that's accessible to us? I went in and looked at this packet, and this item is not in there. So
we'll make sure.
When we change, we change stuff, and I've said it before, you don't have dates on them, so you don't know when it was done. Sorry, I'm just.
Can we get a revised email from Patrice with that? And
Or,
so when you click on it,
maybe
when you click
had-
on it, it does go to the drive and it does have this.
Yeah.
We did get the email, so, and with a link.
Yeah, and if you click on that link, it routes you to the drive and it has this, I think.
All right, I will go. Well, I just went straight to the drive, so it must be in another place on the drive. I apologize for taking your time. I'll go to my email.
Go ahead, Jennifer.
Not at all.
Victoria, are you on?
Yes, I'm here. Sorry about that.
No problem.
So hello, for the record, Victoria Dixon, Senior Multifamily Underwriter in Mortgage Finance, and we are requesting the approval of the financing plan for the Willow Manor properties. With the support of the Development and Finance Committee, the Commission is requested to approve the following actions for this transaction. And if you would please move through the slides slowly. We are asking for approval of the Willow Manor's financing plan as presented, approval of the feasibility and public purpose and the allocation of up to 48 million in volume cap for the transaction, approval of the bond authorizing resolution for issuance and delivery of tax-exempt private activity and taxable bonds in an amount of up to 55 million under the 1996 indenture, authorization to issue a financing commitment for the mortgage loan with a balloon payment option, credit enhanced via FHA risk share mortgage insurance, for which HOC will assume 25% of the risk, and finally, for the borrower to accept the proposed mortgage loan. In review of the transaction, it has been completed and determined to meet the needs of the community, to preserve affordable senior housing, provide significant public purpose, and support the allocation of available volume cap for the 4% tax credits. Utilizing income averaging, 100% of the units at the properties will be restricted to senior households with incomes averaging at or below 60% of IMI, ranging from 40% below and 80%. In addition, given the financial commitments to the properties and its operating projections, this transaction is feasible. Post-renovation, stabilized operations are expected to be achieved by February 2023 and assumes an NOI of approximately 2.6 million. Based on an all-in interest rate of 3.65%, which is inclusive of a 50 basis point cushion for interest rate movements, the property is projected to support a loan of approximately 47.2 million. When we exclude the cushion, the transaction supports a mortgage amount of approximately 50.9 million. Therefore, in order to execute the development plan as presented, staff proposes the following financing plan, including the issuance of tax-exempt private activity bonds and tax-exempt and taxable bonds of up to 55 million, which will be used to fund a 43-year FHA risk share mortgage loan with balloon payment option, as well as a bond reserve under the 1996 indenture. HOC will share in 25% of the risk in the transaction. Allocating up to 48 million of HOC's available tax-exempt volume cap to satisfy the LIHTC 50% test, with additional transactional sources of LIHTC equity, a bridge loan provided by HOC using proceeds of the PNC real estate line of credit, the subordinate county loan, and subordinate seller loan. The bond and initial mortgage loan closings are expected to occur in October of 2021 with conversion to permanent debt by July 2024. If you would please move to slide 130. In conclusion, does the commission approve the actions as requested?
Are there questions from my fellow commissioners? Hearing none, the committee recommends approval, and therefore I move the motion.
Second.
It's been properly moved and seconded to approve resolution 21-84. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposers, nay. Resolution is approved unanimously.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Thank you.
There is also the next resolution.
Oh, I'm sorry. The
84.
adoption of the authorizing resolution number 2021-84B.
Yes. Okay. Is there a second to approve resolution?
Second.
It's been properly moved and seconded to approve resolution 21-84B. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposers, nay. Resolution is approved unanimously.
Thank you.
All right. And from there, we move to Upton 2. And the approval for the acting executive to execute a change order to continue construction management services.
For this item, Jay Shepard, Housing Acquisition Manager, will be presenting this. Jay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, Marcus. Good afternoon, Commissioners. For the record, I am Jay Shepard, Housing Acquisition Manager in our Real Estate Development Group. And I'm presenting the item starting on your packet 141, and that's the Upton 2 approval for the acting executive director to execute a change order to continue construction management services. HOC's construction management pool was set up to assist and augment HOC staff in the performance of providing our renovation and new construction projects. And at the HOC at the Upton 2, construction began back in April of 2019, at which time the firms in the pool were solicited and one firm with the most responsive and responsible bid was selected. That firm is CFI Construction out of Rockville. Construction has proceeded as planned. Delivery of the units is expected to occur by floor, with the first floor of units delivered in October this year and successive floors each week thereafter. The ownership inspections that are required to ensure that all the units are timely delivered is placing a strain on HOC's in-house construction staff, which is currently 3 full-time employees. Further, our LIHTC credits are predicated on 90 lease signings and occupancy by December 31st of 2021, which means the delivery process must have the proper resources to handle the workflow. The aggregate contract and change orders for CFI under its pool contract will exceed $250,000. And as such, in accordance with HOC's procurement policy adopted on the 7th of June of 2017, the commission must approve the change order. CFI has estimated the cost to complete the associated work, augmenting our staff for the new building to be approximately $140,000. But staff is requesting that the commission approve an amount up to $150,000, which includes a $10,000 contingency. If approved by the commission, the engagement is funded out of our development budget previously approved by the commission, which does include construction management expenses. So given the importance of the LIHTC credits, the project staff requests the commission approve up to $150,000 for the change order with CFI. Thank you, and I'm happy to answer any questions you might have.
Okay, before we take any questions, for the benefit of the people that may be watching this, would you identify and describe the development? I think people may not recognize Upton 2, and I do a blank on it every time I see it as well. It's just not, that name doesn't stick yet for that development, and it is
Sure.
coming soon. So I think if you would just summarize what is occurring there and the relationship to the adjacent building, that would be helpful.
Sure, absolutely. So it's going to be the tallest residential building in Rockville. It's already topped out, and at 19 stories. It is across from Upton 1, which was a development done previously by our partner, the Duval Company, and it's immediately adjacent to the old where our permanent services, Department of Permanent Planning Services were, who have subsequently moved, but it's also right across from the Regal Theater. There was a very nice parking lot, which I know everybody loved at the time, for surface parking, one of the few surface parking lots that had remained in Rockville, but that is gone. The building is going to be just a real keystone and a showpiece for the city of Rockville, and we're so pleased to have been working with them. We have in the unit, there's a total of 400 units. There's 611 parking spaces, and there's retail bays all around the ground floor. This encompasses an entire city block in the city of Rockville, so there will be some great retail eventually. But out of those 400 units, HOC has a senior building, so it'll be a senior component of 150 units, 135 of which are covered under the LIHTC or the low-income housing tax credits, and then there's 15 market rate units. The total construction cost for the project was roughly $30 million for our portion, but $100 million for the entire building, and that was just the hard costs alone. So it really is a significant project for the city of Rockville, and they're super excited about it opening, as are we.
And what are we doing about the occupancy of our units, and how does that relate to town center?
Oh, yes. So town center apartments at 90 Monroe is a building HOC also owns, and it's about a block and a half away from this new development, the Upton 2. And the residents in that building will be relocating to the Upton 2 once it's open. And so there's a variety that town center was it was a remnant 236 program that was no longer run by HUD, and the subsidy had to be converted, which we did several years ago, and into a project-based rental assistance, but also into tenant-based vouchers through a low vacancy voucher program. And so the residents who are at the building, there's approximately 90 people that live there, and they will be relocating to this new space once this delivers. So it's replacement housing for them, and really an upgrade, because town center was an older building built in the 70s that had come to its end of its useful life.
How are we scheduling the relocations in terms of this delivery floor by floor? I'm not, are our guys moving in first? Are we getting new residents, or what's the plan?
Yeah, well, so the first floor is the first floor to deliver is about 12 units, and then each subsequent floor after that's about 23 units, and they come each week. And so, for instance, after 2 weeks, we'll have 35 units that have delivered. We are working through the coordination of who is going to move and when.
Okay.
We have a relocation coordinator who is an HOC employee that will work with the team as well as the property management company to work with everybody's needs, all the boxing and whatever packing that assistance they might need.
Okay.
Yeah, and then we'll coordinate that timing directly with each of them. Each person really gets a tailored individual type of move schedule.
Good. Thank you.
Jay, this Commissioner Crum, can you just answer me this? Why is CFA asking for an additional $10,000? You said it was 140, but they're asking for 10.
Yeah, I'm
10,000.
asking for the additional 10, just in case something comes up. Once we have surpassed the threshold here, if for instance there was a slight change and it came out to 145,000, I believe my understanding of the procurement I would have to come back to the commission again for that approval. So we were just asking for the an additional amount just to cover any potential.
Linda, the committee has been concerned about the staff being stretched too thin at times when certain things are occurring on several different developments. And we've encouraged them to identify places when that occurs to ask for help. And we really felt that this was the number of inspections that have to be done within a very short time frame to meet the obligation of when a certain number of leases have to be executed, that it was important to bring this help in now. And frankly, I'm personally pleased that the staff brought the issue to our attention and was happy that the committee recommended that we approve this extension and change order. So I hope that helps
It does.
answer your question.
It does.
Are there any other questions? Hearing none, then with the committee's approval, I move approval of resolution 21-85.
Commissioner Crum, second.
Has been properly moved and seconded to approve resolution 21-85. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those no, nay. The motion to carry is carried unanimously for 21-85.
Perfect, thank you.
Thank you very much. And next we turn to Georgian Court Apartments and approval of the final development plan and budget for that community and the authorization for the executive director to execute a general contractor contract with Hamill Builders. And Marcus,
Yes.
are you or HOC going to be?
That's going to be Hunsuck Troy, Housing Acquisition Manager for this item and the next one. Hunsuck.
Thank you. Good.
Thank you, Marcus. Good evening, Commissioner. For the record, my name is Hyunsuk Choi. I'm the Housing Acquisition Manager in the Real Estate Development team. Georgian Court was originally constructed in 1976 with a 147-unit former 236 program, and then currently operating under extended use period. Georgian Court is locating in the qualified census tract, which is qualified for 30 base boost for the low-income housing tax credit program. The renovation will be completed with a resident place, facilitated by the temporary start the future leasing activity, and then temporarily relocating up to 12 currently occupied units to the offsite to deliver that the one building to the general contractors, so that the general contractors will renovating 2 buildings for each phase. The commission approved the selection of the Hamill Builders as a general contractors, and the selection of the Boston Financial Investment Management as the low-income housing tax credit syndicators. Staff submit the low-income housing tax credit application to the Maryland Department of Housing Community Development, and the staff is expecting to receive a building permit within 3 weeks. Staff is looking to do a comprehensive renovation and add a significant improvement to energy efficient and the common area, accessible paths and exterior building, and the resident unit, also creating that the UFAS unit and the vision and hearing unit. Those improvements not only address the curb field, but also increasing energy efficiency, extended the property useful life, and allowed the property to better compete in the marketplace. So staff has discussed that the Development Finance Committee for that the relocation, each phasing, hard cost, and the early start agreement, and the project rental amount, and sources and use, and the stabilization operation expenses, also the team assemble. Staff is request the commission to approval the following actions. Approve that the final development budget with the proposed substantial renovation of the property using tax exempt bond issued by the HOC, equity from the sales of the low-income housing tax credit, preferred the developer fee, the resident reservable reserve, and the seller note. Total amount is $72.3 million, and authorize the acting executive directors, the general contractors with Hamel, for that amount is not to exceed $13.6 million. Authorize the acting executive director to execute an early start agreement not to exceed $941,330 to allow the Hamel to execute the agreement with the subcontractors and the suppliers as a Hamel works and locking the pricing prior to the final construction closing projecting in November 2021. Approve the sales of a Georgian Court apartment to the HOC at the Georgian Court LLC for that as is a restrict appraisal value of $33 million. Authorize that the property to provide the sales proceeds as of a source to that the transaction in the form of the subordinate seller note, and the authorization for the new property owners to accept the seller note. Authorize the closing of the low-income housing tax credit transaction, and authorize the acting executive director to enter into the operation agreement with the Boston Financial and the permission to admit tax credit investors as of a 99.99 members of a new property owners entity. I'm happy to answer your question.
And so would you be kind enough to describe a little more depth for those that may not be familiar with this process, the early start concept and why, particularly in this time of COVID and supply chain delivery of materials and so forth, that the staff is recommending this and the committee is supporting it?
Sure. I'm not sure what page number is, but my page number is 16. Can you go to the page further going down? So yeah, scroll down. Sorry, I don't have that full package, so only I can see that my package number is 16.
Okay.
So I want to show them more detailed information. Yeah, a few pages more. Yep, here you go. So currently due to COVID, subcontractor suppliers basically that the shortage their suppliers or material. So even though their order now, it take for time to delivery to the job site. So also, even though we are closing, let's say November 29 this year, general contractors engage their subcontractors basically that the buying out their sub, and then also subcontractors are providing shop drawing and then submittal, so that the general contractors, the architect and the consultant review that the documentation they approve, so then general contractors order, the subcontractor order to that the suppliers or manufacturers. So we are basically trying to reduce that time period, and also currently pricing is an increase a monthly base. Sometimes some item is basically the daily base increase. So we like to lock in the price so that it's not impact on HOC or commissioner to increase in pricing after we are approved that the amount is not to exceed the amount for that each project. So this is a really help us to lock the price, but also we are receiving that material to the site so that the general contractor is able to start right away after we are providing the notice to proceed at the closing.
It also assures that the subs are going to be available at the time that we are ready to move forward because they can do their contracting now. And there is a shortage of labor going on in the construction industry now. So this is very helpful.
Yep.
This is another development where we're making major improvements on accessibility, with the site work that's being done, with covered entryways, with more accessible mailboxes, and many interior, both energy efficient and safety improvements. And I'm very grateful for the staff for their efforts on these issues and concerns. Are there questions of any of the commissioners?
This is Commissioner Byrd. I was looking at where the last bullet item where it was saying if closing were not to occur, HOC would incur roughly $940,000. Are you speaking of the closing scheduled for November 2021?
Yes, so we are expecting closing November 21. However, if you're somehow, if we cannot closing end of this year, then general contractor want to make sure that they can pay for that the material cost. So that's why we are put it in the basically that even though we're not closing, we have existing replacement reserve to pay for that if we are not closing this year.
Okay. Thank you.
We will closing this year, 100%.
All right, thanks.
Other questions? Hearing none, with the committee's support, I move approval of Resolution 2186.
Second.
It has been properly moved and seconded to approve Resolution 21-86. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposition, nay. Seeing none, this is approved unanimously for Resolution 21-86.
Thank you.
Item, we turn to Shady Grove Apartments and the approval of the final development plan and budget and authorization for the acting executive director to execute a general contractor contract with Hamel Builders.
Yes, and this is what we call the sister property to Georgian Court, containing similar renovation finishes, improvements, and accessibility, sustainability, essentially all of the hallmarks just noted in the Georgian Court plan. So I have Mr. Troy present on this one as well.
Okay, thank you, Marcus. Good evening again. For the record, my name is Hyun-Suk Choi. I'm the Housing Acquisition Manager. So basically that the Georgian Court Shady Grove is exactly identical 12 building and also 144 unit versus 147 unit because Georgian Court has the basement, has the 3 units, so that's only different. But also we are doing that the exact same 6 phase of each, the 6 phase of that the renovation. Shady Grove was originally constructed in 1980 with 144 unit. Currently operating under extended use period, and the renovation will be very similar to the Georgian Court, but completed with a resident in place, facilitated by a temporary start the future leasing activity, and then temporarily relocating up to 12 currently occupied unit to the offsite to deliver the 1 vacant building to the general contractors, so that the general contractors will renovating 2 buildings for each phase. Shady Grove is currently vacant 11 building, 11 unit. So, but we will finding one unit is coming up. So the 12 unit occupied unit will be offsite. The commission approved that the selection of that Hamel Builders as a general contractors and the selection of the Boston Financial Investment Management as of low-income housing tax credit syndicators as well. Step submit low-income housing tax credit to the Maryland Department of Housing Community Development and expecting receiving the building permit end of September. We just received that the DPS, the comment, and then architect is currently working on to submission of that documentation to the DPS. So we are expecting receiving building permit end of September. Staff is looking to do a comprehensive renovation at a significant improvement to energy efficient and the common area accessible paths, exterior building, and the resident unit. Also creating that the UFAS unit and then vision and hearing impairment unit. So staff is requesting commission to approve following action. Approve the final development budget with the proposal of substantial renovation of the property using tax exempt bond issued by the HOC, equity from the sales of low-income housing tax credit, deferred development fee, and the seller note, all totally of approximately $60.8 million. Authorize the acting executive director to sign the general contractors with the Hamel for that amount is not to exceed $13.2 million. Authorize the acting executive directors executed early start agreement not to exceed $941,330 to allow the Hamel to execute an agreement with the subcontractors and the suppliers as a Hamel works to the locking pricing prior to final construction closing. Approve the sales of a Shady Grove apartment to the HOC at Shady Grove LLC for as is restrict appraisal value of $33.2 million. Authorize the property to sales proceed as of a source to the transaction in the form of the subordinated seller note and authorization for the new property owner to accept it at the seller note. Authorize that the closing of the low-income housing tax credit transaction. Authorize the acting executive director to enter into operation agreement with the Boston Financial and the permission to omit the tax credit investors as of 99.99 members of the new property owners entity. I'm happy to answer your question.
This is Commissioner Byrd. So I'm noticing that this project's timeline is roughly the same as the previous property. And I thought I also heard a mention of possible resource constraints such as laborers with the subcontractors. So how do we ensure that Hamel can actually perform with subcontractors on both projects starting at the same time, both have early agreements? I mean, do you have any cause for pause on your end, or you feel confident that they can perform both projects?
Yes, I have really confident Hamel. Hamel is not a small company, by the way. So also they're really focused on garden style or low rise, or they can do the high rise as well for the renovation. But also there is a project executive. It's not the same person managing both. So they have a different project executive person, and then also they have a purchasing. Their pre-construction services separating it, and also project managers are all separating independently, basically. So also sub is not. So actually, I asked the question to that the Hamel Builders. So is it going to be that the one sub doing both? They're basically saying that some case yes, some case not. But if their sub is basically the capability doing both, and they can engage. But if they're a small sub, then they're not going to put it in the both project. But based on their experience, based on their current project schedule, staff is believe that 100% they can able to do both projects at the same time.
Okay, thank you. One point for Kareen is, and I think I've asked this several years ago, is it possible just to have a snapshot of all of these projects when they start, and can we just have red light, green light, caution as to when they kick off and how they're doing, not all of the details, but just some type of report back to the commission that the projects are moving along. Is that something that we can consider?
Yes, more than consider. We are currently working on a quarterly report, which will give us status of these projects. And as we add to them, we will include them as well. So we'll make sure that, to your point about red light, green light, we'll indicate. So for quick reference, you can see what's happening. But we are planning to submit that report in the next quarterly submission, and so it'll be in September. It'll go to the full commission.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Are there any other questions? Hearing none, on behalf of the committee, I recommend and move Resolution 2187.
Commissioner Byrd, second.
Been properly moved and seconded to approve Resolution 21-87. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, nay. Resolution is approved unanimously. Thank you very much.
Thank
I'd
you.
like to also take this time to thank both the Development and Finance Committee as well as the staff for presenting a fairly large itinerary of projects for our consideration. I also want to note and thank also commissioners who are not members of the committee who took the time to at least participate in the discussion and hear the detailed presentations that were made at the Development and Finance Committee level. So I want to again note that it certainly helps to improve the understanding and efficiency when we get to a full commission meeting. So again, I want to note that. Also, I was pleased, not that it hasn't been done before, but the delineation of specific activities for the projects that go, while they seem extensive, 13 in one and 6 or 7 in another, it really does outline the whole, really literally, process of actions necessary from the time of our approval to the time that these projects actually get commenced. So I want to acknowledge that and continue to do that. It's a good practice. So with that, that ends our agenda for the meeting. And
Resolution 2188, is that not on our agenda? Avondale?
No.
Sorry.
No.
Sorry.
So with that, let me say pursuant to section 3-305B and D of the General Provisions Article of the Annotated Code of Maryland, I move to adopt the written closing statement dated September the 1st, 2021, and to adjourn this open session to a closed session to discuss 2 topics. The first topic is the acquisition of 3 multifamily properties located in Bethesda, Maryland. There are 2 reasons why this topic is being discussed in closed session. First, the meeting must be closed in order to protect HOC's ability to purchase the properties. Second, section 4-335 of the Maryland Public Information Act prevents disclosure of confidential commercial or financial information obtained from third parties. This meeting must be closed in order to protect confidential commercial and financial information provided to HOC from private financial institutions in order to finance the acquisitions. The statutory exceptions that allow this topic to be discussed in closed session are sections 3-305B3 and 3-305B, section 13. The second topic is discussion of ongoing litigation that has been filed against HOC. This topic must be discussed in closed session in order to protect HOC's attorney-client privilege. Section 4-301A1 of the Maryland Public Information Act prevents disclosure of information if, by law, the information is privileged. The statutory exceptions that allow this topic to be discussed in closed session are sections 3-305B7, 3-305B8, and 3-305B13. If any member of the public wishes to object to the closed meeting, please comment in the YouTube chat box or contact HOC's General Counsel. Instructions can be found in the State of Emergency Open Meeting Procedures which is posted on HOC's website. Our meeting is now formally adjourned.
I think we have to vote to close it, don't we?
The motion,
Make a motion.
I would move that we close the meeting.
I second.
Probably moving second to close the meeting. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed is nay. So ordered. Thank you.
Mm.